Hi. What a week. You know, um, sometimes, at least with me, I don't know if it's the same with you, I just take a step backwards and I play really well for a long time and then it just goes away. And the best theory for that I can come up with is that um, I kind of get away from the basics, right? I'm so concentrated on playing songs that I'm not making sure that I'm playing cleanly and that I'm pushing myself to do things that are just outside of my knowledge or my comfort zone, and that I'm not working on the things that I already know to make them better. So I spent a good part of this week um, just getting back to basics, setting a metronome, playing through arpeggios, chords, scales, um, thinking about chord function, putting chord progressions together, playing over top of them, and then slowly gaining some sort of musicality back. It just felt like I wasn't playing anything musical. I was just playing notes. I even had a video that I made that I just deleted. Or actually, it's not deleted, it's set to private or whatever. Um, I haven't figured out how to delete it. I only use the app on the iPhone, so maybe that's why. But I need to just go delete it. It just wasn't good. So, as I was getting back to basics, I thought, what if I just did a brain dump of sorts with everything I know about chords? Um, and maybe that would be helpful to somebody. So I guess the topic, and I usually don't have topics for these, but I do this time, is how to build chords. Um, and how inversions work and how different chord voicings work and how to build them so that you can it seems crazy because there's only so many frets on the guitar, but you really can create something kind of new, at least new to you, or a new sound, um, by understanding how chords are built and then putting those notes together in interesting ways. So that's what I'm going to do. Before I do that, I'm going to get in my soapbox a little bit. Everything I say is, when I speak in absolutes, it's from me. These are my opinions. Everything comes from chords. Everything. Every melody you play, every triad, every little lick, everything comes from chords. If it didn't, it wouldn't sound good. So whatever those notes are in the chord, and you may have other notes inside your little lick that you play or whatever, but it's going to land on those chord tones. And that's what's going to give it that harmony. That's what's going to make it sound good. So a deep understanding of chords, and start with chords and branch out from there, is really going to make you a better guitar player, because you understand how it works versus how to play it. Those are two distinctly different things. How do I play this part versus why does this part sound good? And that's really important. So I'm going to go over a few things. The first thing is just basic chord construction. So I don't think that's too loud. All chords are three notes, 1, 3, 5, regardless if it's major, minor, diminished. It doesn't matter. It's basic chords, not extensions. 1, 3, 5. So your major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You would take the 1, 3, 5 out of that C to make that chord. So 1, 1, 3, 5, C, E, G. And then to make this bar chord, You just repeat that pattern. But in essence, you can play it this way or this way. That 1, 3, 5 makes that chord. Okay? No matter what you do. If you do minor, same thing. 1, 3, 5. Any combination of 1, 3, 5 makes up that chord. It doesn't matter if the 5 comes first, if the 3 comes first, or the 1 comes first. So this, C chord, this, C chord, this, C chord, this, C chord, this. They're all C chords. Understanding that and being able to flip it around to get what you an effect you're looking for is really important. So you can play this, and then you can go like the 5, and then if you want to go back to that, you can go to the first inversion, which will put the 3rd in the bass. Then you can go, that's the 2nd inversion, right? So you can do all that. That's all 1, 3, 5. It's all the same chord. And that's the same everywhere. So if we go all the way up here, that's the 5th, that's the G, right? So that's this. There's the C, that's the 1. And then here's the E, that's the 3. So, same thing here. E, G, C. Same thing here. G, that's a C, C, C. Okay, 1, 3, 5, all across the board. Those are your chords. And your inversions are this one. First inversion, real quick. First inversion puts the 3rd in the bass. It just walks up the 1, 3, 5. Puts the 3rd in the bass. Second inversion puts the, I might be slightly out of tune, puts the G in the bass. Okay? So this would be C over E, C over G. That's how they'll be written as slash chords, but it's first inversion, second inversion. Okay. So a bit about bar chords. So bar chords get a bad rap. I've seen videos online where guitar players say that you shouldn't play bar chords because you look like a rookie. I push back against that and I say that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Now, if you play bar chords and you always play the whole thing, it's bad. You don't want to do that. But inside that bar chord, let's move to the A here so we have more room. You have like 3 triads, right? So you have the power chord, not a triad. Triad, that's the 5, 1, 3. This triad, that's straight up 1, 3, 5. This triad, 3, 3, 5, 1. So if you're playing this bar chord, if you bar this chord, know that you got that shape, that shape, that shape, all in the same bar chord. So for rhythm playing, so I'm playing the higher triad there, sometimes this triad. So you'll notice that I didn't strum the whole thing all the time. Most of the time, I'm hitting like a root and then concentrating on those tones to make a chord. So here I'm hitting root, root, that's an octave. Actually, it's 2 octaves. And then the 5. So that's important to understand a position of those chords and be able to do that. Okay, so that's major and minor chords, any combination of those. The second type of chord and how to build it is a suspended chord, which you'll see is like C sus or C2 or C sus2. I used to think that the sus stood for sustained. It does not. It's suspended. So suspended, when you take the third I talked about and you move it down or up. So if you move it down to 2, that's how you get the sus2. If you move it up to 4, that's just a regular sus. So sus2 would, instead of using the E, it's going to use the D, right? So instead of this, it's going to take that down a whole step. That makes it suspended, right? That's a sus2. A sus4 is going to take the third and move that to the F, which is this note right here, right? So you get, and then that would be the octave, but you still don't have the fifth because the fifth is that G, right? And that's where you can't do that because that's the third, and you need it to be the fourth. That is the C sus. Because you've moved that. You can also do that. That's a C chord. It's a suspended chord. That's a sus2 chord. You see, we're just moving the third around to create a new voicing. Okay. Often the 4 in a chord progression will be a sus2. The 5 will be a sus5, or just a regular sus, which would be a sus4. So those are suspended chords. So you play around with moving that third up or down. That's what's going to help you build those chords. Okay. The next thing is extensions. So chords are built in thirds. We went over that 1, 3, 5. Not for suspended chords, for regular chords, 1, 3, 5. If you continue the pattern of thirds, you end up with the 7th chord. So 1, 3, 5, 7. Right? And then if you continue that pattern all the way up, 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, right? You end up with this. And that's a 7th chord, okay? Major 7th, we're going to dominant 7ths in a minute. Major 7th chord. Oops. It has to have the 7th in it. Those other 3 notes, and then the 7th to make it a 7th chord. So if you move down to the E string, that's actually, it's harder to do here because that's a 7th chord. No one really plays it like that. They typically do that, but that's technically it. And that would be the upper side of that if you just concentrated. Again, we're building chords. So this is the 7th, 3rd, 5. 7th, 3rd, 1, and 5. 7th chord. And you can, wherever you find those notes, for a G chord to be G, B, D, F sharp, G. Wherever you find those chords, or wherever you find those notes, that's the 7th chord. And the last chord I'm going to talk about before I kind of demo how to put these together is a 9th chord. So if we continue with that pattern, 1, 3, 5, 7, right, 8, 9. That's the 9, which is technically the two just up an octave. It has to have the seventh in it to be a 9, to be a major 9. If it doesn't have the seventh in it and you're adding that, then it's like an add 9. Okay, but if the seventh is in it, then you get this beautiful 9th chord. Now it's still C chord. It has some color. And then if you add your pinky, right, that's the second to the third, you get the 7. And you can do that anywhere. And then you can just take parts of that chord and you get triads out of it. But it has to have the seventh in it to be a major 9 chord. That's really how to build chords. So a little demo on how to use these. I'm going to do a C9, major 9, right? Because we got 7th in there. And then we'll do a D minor 9. Now, the minor 7 would be this, because we're flatting that. If we lift that, so we get that 2, that's the D minor 9. And then, I didn't talk about these. Okay, so the dominant 7th chord is what you'll see when it's like G7, D7, A7, whatever that is. If it just shows a 7, it's a dominant 7th chord. That means it's a major 3rd, but a minor 7th. So a minor 7th is down a whole step from the root, right? So theory-wise, it should only appear on the 5 chord, right? Because that's the dominant chord. But blues and jazz both use dominant 7ths wherever. So that's it, right? That's the major 3rd. There's the minor. So that 7 sounds way different than, hold on. That 7, right? So when you hear that sound, that's the dominant 7. So the progression is going to be major 9, C major 9, D minor 9, G7. And just to show you how you can blend those together and then they sound good. So something like this. Forgot the 7. And actually I'm adding the F in here because I know the chord tones. So this is the F. But I'm suspending it. So here's the F. Wait a second. Oh, right. So, suspending it as a sus2. So that means here, right? Here's the F. Here's my G, because I flattened my whole step. I flattened the 3rd, right? So that is a F sus2. But because we know how to build the chord, we can build this and give it some voice leading. So, and then that's going to lead to the D. And then we barely have to leave this shape to do. you a different dominant chord this time. Forgot what chord was next. Oops. That's it. That's how to build chords. So when you're learning a song or developing parts or rhythm parts or lead lines, work on moving the notes around to build what you want. That's all I have. Enjoy the rest of your night.